Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here. I sit here basically contented, but very dissatisfied with the way I'm living in this society at this time. I'm living at this time in a society that is hurting, that is experiencing much pain. And it seems as if the foundation of this pain is a result of a lack of compassion for one another, which has basically allowed people to go their own way, using what is available to them to do their own thing, not really caring about its outcome or its effect on others, but basically that they get over. I guess this is a conclusion that is probably one of the most expected as a result of living in a system of competition, a system of winners and losers, a system of us and them, a system of heartlessness. In time, it falls and it rises again, and only to fail again if you're following the same basic principles. And that is what we have been doing my lifetime. I'm sure there have been worse men in American government since it was established. But during my lifetime, Donald Trump is the king. Presently, he came into this office promising some people who were just like him, who were fed up with the system, who were raised on hate and bigotry, and it stayed with them, even though they had to try to hide it under the law. But Donald Trump offered them an opportunity to come out publicly and be proud of their hatred, be proud of their bigotry, be proud of their foolishness. And as a consequence, Donald Trump walked into this office amongst a basic organizational structure of people who kind of had some reliance on one another, some trust in one another. They knew the kind of people that they wanted in positions that would promote what America stood for. And they had kind of maintained that by keeping their lily white and male. And if a female came in, she was obviously had her thoughts and philosophy changed, and people of color as well. And so they had a measure of trust in individuals that were associated with government. And Donald Trump came in and they didn't trust him from the onset. But for some strange reason, the powers that be that are unknown to the public were exercising their power and allowed Donald Trump and all of that which is a misfit, all of that which men are in prison for, all of that which they want to sweep under the rug and don't want society to know that exists. They took it from Donald Trump and put it on the airways all day, all night, fed it to the people. And in a moment of time, people began to feel impressed, to believe in the lies that were being fed to them. And even the truths connected and worked well with the lies for those of Trump. And so now that he's leaving office, supposedly, he's allowing all of the crooks that have been associated with him for years, and all the crooks that worked with him doing this government, and how he's trying to destroy this system by becoming Lord over America. And all of those that ended up being caught and couldn't get away from the law and were prosecuted. He is setting them free for working with them. And the American people are still stuck at a standstill, trying to work within whatever they might have available, knowing that even now their trust is dependent upon someone to stand up to the oaths that they've taken, to defend them in this time of crisis. I say, ladies and gentlemen, that we the people, we've always been told that we had the power. The numbers represented the many voices which gave power. That's what we've always been told. We've always been told that there was a God of love, a God that cared for all. We have always been told that. We have been told that whenever there was an opposition to these outcomes, it had to do with anti-God principles. We've been told that and taught that. And now, right before our eyes, we see the results of what we have been told, what we have been taught, and what has not been practiced. We see evil all around us. We see the dangers of sicknesses and diseases, how it's taking over. We are not prepared. We've wasted time with bigotry and false and fake gods. We recognize the pain and suffering that comes from our economic situations, our educational situation, our health situation. In every walk of life, we find ourselves being shortchanged. We find our teenagers being shortchanged because they're in school not doing the things that they want to associate themselves to and attach themselves to make them prepared to make better choices at what they plan to do in life, or going to college. All of this suffering because of lack of funds or getting so much in debt. All of this is a statute standing up, fighting against life. And for me to tell you that all of this is a result of what I've been telling you all the time. The Democrats, they are better than the Republicans as far as their policies are concerned and their expression of empathy, sympathy, compassion. They got a little bit more heart than Republicans. But I want to tell you that there is another way that got a little bit, nope, it has a lot more heart than what the Democrats are talking about. And that's what I have been and still am offering to you, the people, to you, the average individual, to you, the average individual. I want you to know that you might belong to a church, but really that church authority, that church head has no authority over you except what you allow it to do. And that allowance is only associated to the purpose for which you're being there. Outside of that, there is no one with any power over anyone else. Not the church, not the government, not the secret societies, that nothing really got authority over you but God. Now you can yield yourself to you can yield yourself to a frog or a dog or anything. But in truth, the only one that has authority over you is invisible. Can't see, can't touch, can't feel, can't even conjure up what it might be. But all of the evidence is around us. And so I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, the governments, every person that suffers, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who don't have a home, those of you who are sleeping in tents on the streets, those of you who are outside with snow in Minnesota, and you got a tent outside in a park, not just you, but a group of you, meaning that you're homeless, meaning that you got no place to stay. You're fencing yourself out there with gas tanks, and they're exploding and causing you all kind of harm. And then people try, How can you put up with this? And those of us who have a little bit better, how can we put up with this when we know that there's enough resources, when we know that there's enough assets, when we know that there are enough people who are unemployed, who are willing to engage themselves to make sure that as much effort, as much labor that must be put forth to create an abundance of goods and services, that no one would be hungry, that no one would be sleeping on the street, that no one would be denied education, that no one would be denied health care, and all of the other things that you want so bad in life that's been happening at the hands of man. All of it. I'm so sick of it when persons like Donald Trump come in and walk on American people like this. I'm so sick of it when the American people have subjected themselves, and the system of power has subjected themselves to a power that they don't even know of, that's keeping them caught in this trap and will not allow them to live. And they refuse to listen to any other voices that says set yourself free by trusting in something that you can't see. And I'm not talking about some secret society. I'm not talking about some Bilderberg group. I'm not talking about some super billionaire and trillionaire people. No, I'm talking about a power that says that the earth is theirs. I'm saying a part of power that says the rivers and the oceans and the sky and trees and mountains and valleys belong to them. And we the people belong to them. And the resources that will feed our needs, feed our wants, and feed our desires have been given. And the desires are in us. And the ability to go out there and bring forth is in us by that power. And in so doing, and all things that are created by the hands of man belong to mankind by the power of God. By the power of God, it belongs to mankind. And mankind don't owe nothing but their service to one another. Their service to one another. That's all you owe. Your service to one another. When you give your service to one another, you are honoring that there is a God. And there is no pain, there's no suffering, there's no lying, there's no cheating, there's no bigot, there's no hatred. You know that's true. And yet, you give life to a continuation. Evidence. You've gotten rid of Trump by voting. He might leave. Then you bring in the Democratic platform. It's the same thing it's been all the time. Just because there's been such a hellish situation going on, there might be a few minor adjustments to make it seem like now times are going to be better. But it's not going to do a doggone thing to the people that are sleeping in those streets. They'll still be sleeping on those streets 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now. Because it would take you, the people. It'll take your voice. Not just the people who got a job. See, the people who got a job, they can't extend themselves to what is required to make this major change. Oh, they can give to the soup. They can soup line. They can buy a couple of bags of grocery and pass out to somebody. They can give $100 to help somebody go to college and think that they're doing something. But somewhere I heard, especially with people who talk about Jesus Christ, talking about Jesus Christ coming back and being saved. I heard somewhere that he was coming back for a church, which means people that serve God, without spot or wrinkle. Do you think you are associated with groups without spots or wrinkles? Do you think you as an individual stand up without a spot or wrinkle? Do you think that you're even striving to be like that? The answer to all of those are no. You don't fit in on any of that. Why? Because you don't know any better and you don't want to know any better. Because to stand up means to be free. And there's a price in freedom. There is someone always trying to take away your freedom at the extent of taking your life. And if you don't know the truth, you will be bound by that. You don't know that if somebody swiped this here life out, it's like somebody hitting you in your butt, waking you up in the next life, and you won't even know the difference. You don't know that. If you knew that, you wouldn't take no crap off of anybody. You wouldn't take no crap off your husband, not your wife, not your children, not your parents. You wouldn't take crap off anyone. And they wouldn't take crap off you. Because the next life got to be better than the one that they're experiencing at that moment. I want to thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. I seem to be going at it. I didn't plan to talk this long. But it seems that everything I have said was necessary to be said. And I hope it wasn't just a waste of time. It has been absolutely a pleasure in knowing this truth to be exactly what it is, and a hope that you can accept it as that. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.